Hi, in today's episode, we have Natya Nanaiah. Natya is a happy yoga girl who quit a high-flying job to come back to India and live the slow life that everybody's today talking about. So tell me more, your journey, Natya. What got you back from your work abroad and what made you miss India so much for you to come back here? Tell me more.
Hi, Mo. Thank you for having me here. I moved back to India from Ireland. So I was in Ireland for about 3.5 years. And I moved back just to be closer to home and to my family. Like that's what initiated my move. I took the big step without knowing what I'd be doing once I got back. And it was also me taking a break from my corporate life. Like I'd worked with Google for about 7 years. And so I wanted to take a break and see if there was anything else for me where I could really make a difference in someone's life more than just, work on the corporate side of things.
What was that point that made you want to? I mean, I understand about family, but most youngsters, when they're living abroad, they're without any of the restrictions of a family and the home. And, also for you to have lived 7 years and then to come back, how was the transition? Did you initially feel a lot of fear, insecurity when you came back with the decision, or were you very crystal clear that you wanted to continue? And we need an honest answer there, Natya.
So what actually made me come back, like I said, was for family. Like I would visit India once a year and I'd realize like my parents, my friends, all of them, they've grown a year older and I wasn't part of that change really. And it was quite overwhelming that I couldn't be here for them if it were a medical emergency or, if they really needed me, all I could do was get on a phone or arrange for someone to be there, but not be here physically with them. So that was a little heart-wrenching. I didn't think of my life when I moved back. For me, it was what I could do for them. And once I got back here, that's when the me came into picture. And I was like, oh God, what have I done? Because it wasn't easy coming back and, getting used to things around here. Like you're moving from a really progressive state of mind, like with the people you meet and all of that, and you're coming back home. Home is home, but it's different. Like, I don't know how to put it, but it's different. I feel everybody I thought I would be helping or moving back for had also grown in their own ways, like mentally. So there was a bit of a difference. To be very honest, like I couldn't hold a conversation with my own family or friends for more than 5 minutes because in my head, I'd be like, what are they saying? Like there was such a disconnect, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course, it makes a lot of sense, Natya, because, I relate to that so much, having moved cities on my own, and I know what it is like to, carve yourself all over again. My move was also from Delhi. I went into Kolkata, which is a little easy being a Bengali, and then after that into Bangalore. So, but Delhi had this whole, the availability for courses, the arts, and all of that was very, very strong, in the earlier days. Of course, today Bangalore has changed, and you find a lot of cultural stuff, excepting for COVID, the things have like really gotten awry, and we don't have the way it was earlier, but I'm very hopeful, and so I get that so well, and I'm also at that stage now where I can't deal with having conversations that are not real,
Yes. And that's the other thing. I moved from Ireland to Coog, so it wasn't a city. It's literally I wouldn't say rural, but it is a smaller district. It is a smaller town. And most of my conversations would start around, so what's the weather like? And then it would just reach a dead end. And, the other person and I would just be looking at each other's face.
Yes, I know. I relate to that completely and I understand that so well, Natya, because today I've reached that space where I kind of find myself almost insulated in my own little world of writing, podcasting, because, when I step out, I also feel that I've probably moved a few steps forward and some people are still, on their process or their life journey is a little different from mine. And I completely understand. But now coming back to yoga, it is just so admirable the way you have, taken up yoga. And like you say, it's one breath at a time. What inspired you to get down to yoga and what kind of yoga do you teach?
I've played sport through my life. Like I've been into athletics and basketball through and through. So every time someone suggested yoga, I'd be like, oh, but yoga is for someone who can't play sport. Like, it's not for people who are active otherwise. That was always my mindset. And when I went for my first yoga class, my friend convinced me because it was raining outside and I couldn't go get a game. And I really wanted to do something after work. So I went for my first yoga class and I half died. Like it was so intense. I came out wondering, what the hell? Like that was not what I expected at all. And it was a hot yoga class. I remember I was so exhausted and I was mind blown because the effect it had on my body, I felt it then and there after my first class. So that's what made me explore it further. Like I signed up for classes immediately and I got quite regular with it. But I hadn't thought of teaching then. It was only after I moved back to India that I thought, okay, let me do this teacher training program so I can teach myself because I'm used to a certain kind of yoga. Like I do very fast paced, active, and power yoga for myself. So I said, okay, let me understand the technicalities and start to teach myself. So while I was doing my class, I had a lot of requests to teach them. And it always came from, Nat, can you please help me? I want to lose weight. My mind is really cluttered. Can you help me with yoga? That's how it started. And I took on a couple of cousins and friends, and I was doing it for free. Like I didn't charge anybody. But it felt so fulfilling when they'd come back and say, thank you. This was really good. We really enjoyed ourselves. And that for me was positive and reinforcement. I said, okay, I think I finally found my calling. This seems like something I would want to explore. So I deep dived into it. I took on a couple more students. All my friends, I didn't reach out to anyone in the public. I called out to a few friends and then I chalked out some programs for them. And I've been training or teaching them for the last couple of years now. They're happy. I'm happy. But, there was something else that I felt like I didn't know enough. So then I went to Rishikesh for a little over 2.5 months. I went back to my practice. I got trained. I did my advanced program. And I came back in April and started full-fledged classes now. So I teach about 30 people now across group and personal sessions. I do both yoga and meditation classes. And it's been wonderful. Like it's given me my space. It's given me a true reason to do what I do.
How wonderful. How wonderful to hear this. And what is the kind of age group that you have in your class, Natya?
Oh, you'd be amazed. I have my youngest student who's 21 and my oldest is 62. So it's across different age groups and for different reasons. Like one wants to lose weight, one wants to gain weight. One thinks it's for her mental stability. Another thinks it's for a wholesome experience. And I do a lot of medical help as well, like therapeutic yoga. So this one friend that I took on 2.5 years ago, he came to me with acute back pain. So, like I do therapeutic yoga as well.
What was the response like for friends around you, for people? Because, for someone who's a believer, you're just a believer like me, like the way when I began my podcasting, when I began my writing, nobody really believed what I was going to do. And like you, I too had this whole mission of taking out stories for women, taking out stories, unheard voices, out into the entire world. And I think, what happens is that if you've left a corporate job and you're going to do yoga and become a yoga teacher, many people would try and make you question this choice that you made. Did you go through any of this?
I did because so I worked in Europe and I earned in euros, right? So when I came back, it was, you're going to teach yoga, like you're going to become a teacher. Do you realize what kind of a hit that'll take on your lifestyle? And my parents were the ones to call me out on this or ask me this question. But by then, in the last 2 years, I've been married. My partner saw how I was helping people. My husband, Rishwan, he was like, Nat, I think this is you. So we also run a homestay. And, I kind of sidetracked along the way thinking I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I had what it took to start.
Why would you say that, Natya?
I was new.
Okay.
It was brand new for me, and also I think I not put myself out there, and I was scared what the response would be. So I didn't. I just took on the people who insisted that they wanted to learn. I just took them on and I was teaching them. And Rish saw the kind of effect it had on them. And he's like, Nat, can you please do this? Like, this is you. And you see the effect it's having on different people. Can you please help more people? So that's what made me take it up like more seriously. I said, okay, in December, I made up my decision. In Jan, I left to Rishikesh. And, after that, everything's just come together. But initially, it was fear of being accepted, fear of earning anything at all, if not something. And
so
it's still a journey.
Interesting. It's very interesting, Natya, when you say this, because you know what? For most, I think things are changing because like I always say, I'm an eternal optimist. That value in terms of any work that you do is always monetary. In the eyes of people, and that really leaves people with your and my kind of professions all the time we question what we are in the pursuit of. And yes, and because money is the only measure of success, which is not at all true. For a lot of people like you, yes, who I'm sure you're fulfilled when you see that somebody who's come with a backache, his or her back has gotten better. It just reiterates the faith with which you push yourself to go ahead and carry this forward. So Natya, so about the coffee and the resort that you said that you have, right? You have a homestay, right? Now, did that also have a hit during COVID? And did you have, was it easy for you and Rishwin?
Oh, it was the absolute opposite of easy. So we opened our doors in 2018 September for
Okay.
about a couple of months. And like we ran through September to February and in 2019. But basically, we've been open for 2 years, technically, but we've only run for about 6 months or 7 months. So initially, obviously, this is a huge investment. We're taking like big loans and all of that to get the place started. And the response was good when we opened our doors. But when COVID hit, it was a dead end suddenly. Like, we live off hospitality, so we needed guests to come. But if travel was completely banned, it means nothing, right? Like, you go from a lot to absolutely nothing. So it was a huge hit for us, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally as well. The first month we took a break. We're like, okay, we've overworked ourselves for the last 6 to 8 months. So let's take a break. And then it didn't seem to end. That's what got scary because we didn't want to leave our staff hanging. So we continued paying their salaries out of our pockets or whatever little we'd made, considering paying back loans and all of that. And we got a chance to reopen again for about 3 months before we got shut down again. So it's been really, really, I won't say bad, I would say challenging. Because we know we have potential when we open, people will come to us to stay with us. But being hit for a long time has taken its toll on the property, on our staff, on us, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
But the more I talk to you, Natya, the more I realize that challenges is just going to make you become a bigger queen, an absolute slay queen that you are when I'm talking to you. And, I can just say congratulations on this, on decisions, because you know what? I envy youngsters like you who can just take these decisions for themselves in life. And sometimes they're not right, and sometimes they are really right. But in all of this is a huge learning about yourself, about the environment, about what is it that you want and what is it that you want to take forward very seriously in life. So Natya, I would like to thank you for taking out the time today for this episode. But if people were to get in touch with you about the homestay that you run, where is it that they can get in touch with you? If you could just share with our listeners the website link or a telephone number. And if anybody is in Coorg and they are listening, they need to know where to find Natya to learn yoga from her and get that backache going and learn the butterfly, the swan, and the root pose. and learn, because I do believe that yoga is one of the most amazing exercises to have agility and flexibility. And it really works both in the yin and the yang. It's the whole entire thing about balance. And I hear a very balanced young lady talking to me. So please tell our listeners, where can they get in touch with you?
So for my yoga classes, you can currently get in touch with me on my Instagram handle or my number, which is 944 920 4726. That's my personal number. So if you want to get in touch with me regarding the homestay or the cafe, that works too. Otherwise, you can find us under Riverside Coffee on booking.com. We are yet to get our website up and running, but we also are on Instagram and Facebook. So Riverside Coffee is where you'll find us. And thank you, Mohua, for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure is mine, because I've seen a very young Natya to the Natya that you are today. And, it's an absolute pleasure. So for listeners, if they are to get in touch with Natya and her Riverside retreat, for people who love Coog, who love this, to wake up to the smell of coffee and the blossoms, please get in touch with Natya at 944 920 4726. Thank you, Natya, for taking out the time, and wishing you loads and loads of luck, and a big hug to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services. Find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course, all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are MoodyMo Awaaz Podcast, where Hatke is hot.